Hi everyone, and welcome back to Algebra 2. I'm Mrs. Stillwell, and I'll be covering our lesson for today. Please remember the rules of note-taking. If you see it on your screen, you should be writing it in your notes. Some of you printed the notes out ahead of time, which will allow you to just watch and work through the examples. Feel free to add things in your own words so they're easier to study later on. Don't forget to hit pause and replay as often as you need to. This is especially true during the examples and the U-tries. You will need good notes to study from this year, and also you'll need good notes as a review when you take pre-calculus next year. Okay, here we go. Today we will be tackling 7.5C. That is Chapter 7, Rational Functions. Section 5, Part C, which is the last part of Section 5. Solving rational equations, and we'll be working specifically on inverses. Our learning target is 7A. I can solve rational equations. Vocabulary and concepts. Now, we have not done much with inverse functions this year. You've seen them once or twice in Algebra 1 and in geometry, so I want to go over a little bit of a reminder about them. Inverse functions are mirror opposites of each other. In order to have an inverse, a function must be 1 to 1, and that means that no horizontal line can hit the graph more than one time. The mirror is the line y is equal to x. So you'll notice that the black line, using my ruler, just look at the black line, only the black line. My ruler hits it once, hits it once, hits it once, hits it once, hits it once. Never hits it twice, which means the black line is 1 to 1 function. That means it does have an inverse. The inverse flips around the line y is equal to x, which is this line right here. And if you can see by looking on one side and then looking on the other side, the red line is simply the black line folded over. The red line is just the black line folded over this line y is equal to x. Now, for what you need to know in order to be successful with inverses, you just need to be able to do the horizontal line test. It can only hit once, it can only hit once, it can only hit once, once, and it's good. If that's true, it does have an inverse. Please notice that when you have an inverse, the x's and the y values change places. So the original was 1, 2. Its inverse is 2, 1. The original was 0, -2. Its inverse is -2, 0. Literally, the x and the y values just change places. To find an inverse, first make sure the function is 1 to 1 by sketching it. If it's not, stop. There is no inverse function. You don't have to go any farther. If it is 1 to 1, like the example that I gave you right here, it is very simple to find the inverse. You literally just switch x and y and isolate the y value again. Now please remember from earlier lessons, when the word isolate is used, it simply means get it by itself one more time. You can write your answer as either the inverse of f, that's what that little -1 means. The inverse of f of x is, and then write your inverse function here. Or you can write out the inverse of f of x is g of x, and then write out your function right here. Either one of those is fine. Your teacher might have a preference, so you might want to ask them, or the book might give you specific instructions. Please make sure to pay attention to those. Okay, that is literally it as far as what we need to do. So we're going to jump into our U-tries and examples. So here's our function. I sketched it. Now you can do that on a graphing calculator. You can do it by making a table. So a table like this. You can do it however you would like to. We just need a sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. So let's test this thing. If I have this, a horizontal line, yes, it only hits once, it only hits once, it only hits once, it only hits once, only once, only once, once. So, yes, it only hits it one time. That means that no, it does not hit it more than once, which means I keep going. Now keep going means do this. Y is equal to 5 over x plus 2. That's my original function. Find an inverse. You literally just change where the x's and the y's are. Now I'm going to set this up as a cross multiplication problem because I believe that will be easier for you. So I have this, which I'm just going to write like this, equals that. So I am going to distribute this. I'm going to subtract my 2x to the other side. Remember, we're trying to get y all by itself. And now I'm going to divide both sides by x. So y is equal to negative 2x over x reduces to negative 2. And 5 over x is 5 over x. And that is my inverse function. Oops, sorry, I wrote off the page a little bit there. My apologies. The other way you can write that is the inverse of the function is just like that. Okay, so literally, in order to solve the problem, every time you see a y, you replace it with an x. Every time you see an x, replace it with a y, and then you're done. Cross multiply and solve the rest of the way. Okay, another example. So I have this equation, and I have sketched that. Again, it's fine if you use a graphing calculator. Just type that into a graphing calculator and graph it. We just need the sketch. So now I am going to check. So my horizontal line does not hit more than once. Nope, nope, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Oh, no, not good anymore. I cannot have it hit twice. So, since this does not pass the horizontal line test, it hits it twice. Stop. There is no inverse function. You are finished. That's why it's so important to sketch them. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a whole lot of work for absolutely no reason. Okay, with that said, we have one more problem left. That's it. Like I said, this was going to be a very, very short lesson. And there is the equation. So what I would like you to do, please, pause the video and do this problem. It is a U-try. Remember, your first step is to sketch it and see if you should continue. If it is a one-to-one function, so the horizontal line only hits it one time, switch the x's and y's and continue to get the y back by itself. Okay, again, pause the video, come back when you're finished. Okay, welcome back. So let's get that sketch done. We have this. And we have a vertical line that goes that way, one of those horizontal asymptotes we've been talking about. And we have another one down here. And our graph basically looks like that. So if I pull my handy dandy ruler out, it only hits once, it only hits once, it only hits once, it only hits once. So I am good. So I should continue. So here I am. Y is equal to 2 over x minus 4. Switch the x's and the y's. That again is why they're called inverses, because you literally are flipping those two. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get that 4 to the other side. Remember, we're trying to get y by itself. So I have x plus 4 is equal to 2 over y. Well, that's a dividing by y, so I'm going to multiply both sides by y. And I'll have this. Now this time I am not, notice those cancel, I am not going to multiply this out because it's very simple to get that by itself, that y by itself. Simply divide by x plus 4. So these cancel, and I have y is equal to 2 over x plus 4. There is my inverse. So here I am writing out that I have an inverse, and the inverse is this, and I have my answer. Okay, please remember the entire lesson is exactly two things. First thing, does it only hit once, that vertical, or excuse me, horizontal line, does it only hit once? And if the answer is yes, all you have to do, every time you see a y, put in an x. Every time you see an x, put in a y. And to get the y back by itself. Okay, I hope that this made sense. Please remember to stop, go back and look at it again if there's anything that you didn't understand, if you want to see it a second time. Also, please remember you should be highlighting your notes with anything you're not quite sure about and making sure to ask your teachers about this in class. Your homework is in Big Ideas, and it looks just exactly like what I just finished doing. Okay, I hope everything went well, and remember to ask your teachers for help if you need it. Bye-bye.